The Architectural Board of Review for April 6, 2009. And starting with general business, item 1, public comment for anyone who would like to address the board. Seeing no one, I'd close that portion and bring it to B, approval of the minutes of the ABR of March 23rd, 2009. And so with that, can I have a motion to review? By Clay, second by? Second by Gary. Okay, anything before item 1? In other words, general business or... Okay, item 1. Item 2. Item 3. On item 3, the only point I had is that we don't have it recorded anywhere here about our we asked was it staff or the applicant to clarify the bus stops and what Planning Commission or City Council asked.
We're on item 2.
I'm on item 3. Oh, is that item 2? Item 3 is the Mitchell Terreno.
That was item 2.
Oh, sorry, item 2. I beg your pardon. 601 East Mitchell Terreno Street, Cottage. Yeah, that was the only thing that we didn't have anything noted on here. And
Yeah, that was just staff was going to check in with the resolution to confirm whether the covering meant physical shelter cover, and that's what she determined, and that's what the applicants are prepared to present today.
Oh, they are? Okay. So, all right. Okay, so they've said. Okay. All right. And we don't feel a need, in other words, in that regard, we don't feel a need to document that, right? We'll. I thought so too. I thought that asking for clarification was part of it.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, fine, thanks. So, item 3. Item 4. Item 5. 6. Okay. So, that's the minutes. So, we... motion to approve then. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. So should we have a motion then for consent calendar to review the We're reviewing the consent calendar for the same day, or?
A consent calendar for last Monday, March 30th. Need a motion or a motion?
Can I have a motion by Chris? Second by? Second by Keith. Okay.
Consent agenda for Monday, March 30th, 2009. Item A, 500 Fowler Road was continued 1 week. Item B, 1165 Coast Village Road, final approval as submitted. Item C, 2031 De La Vina Street, final approval as noted. Item D, 13 South Soledad, continued 1 week. Item E, 814 Laguna Street, continued indefinitely to the staff hearing officer. Item F, 3761 State Street, final approval as noted. And item G, 1627 Garden Street, final approval as noted.
Thank you. All those in favor? The motion say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Motion for the 6th for review. Could I have so moved by Clay, second by Carol, second.
Consent agenda for Monday, April 6th. Item A, 500 Fowler Road, approved as submitted of review after final. Item B, 1502 San Andres Street, continued 1 week. Item C, 2222 Bath Street, approved as submitted of review after final. Item D, 402 Oriela Del Mar, continued 1 week. Item E, 100 Adams Road, continued indefinitely, the Planning Commission. Item F, 3957 State Street, final approval as submitted. Item G, 221 North Nopal Street, final approval as noted of architecture, final approval as submitted of landscaping. Item H, 13 South Soledad Street, continued 1 week for architecture and final approval as noted of landscaping. Item I, 100 West Anapamu Street, continued 2 weeks for landscaping. And item J, 228 West Alomar Avenue, final approval as submitted. Items reviewed by Carol Gross and Gary Mosel.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Thank you. So we did consent calendar. So on to D, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals.
Just have one announcement. Dawn Sherry has notified us that she'll be absent today.
Okay. Yes, Carol?
And 4.
3 and 4. Okay. Okay. Any others? Okay. So, that's the end of announcements. Request subcommittee reports. No subcommittee reports.
Mr. Chair, I do have an announcement. The Historic Landmarks Commission last Wednesday asked to reinstitute the ABR HLC Joint Awards program. So I think there are now members that are part of that group. So you'll be contacted soon for all of you as well can submit nominations. But typically, I think we have 1 or 2 members that participate in those awards. So I just wanted to give the board some advance notice as they look around for projects that could possibly be meriting these awards.
Okay. Thanks, Jaime. Okay. With that, possible ordinance violations. Okay. I had a question about ordinance violations. Is it that if you see something on single-family residences, we should leave that for that board, or?
I don't think we've actually prohibited you from any type of violation.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know, if you believe that there should be enforcement, it's up to you as to whether you want to announce it. I think what we've said is that we'd rather have you submit the forms rather than announce it at the meetings. That's our preference. Because people misconstrue that as they are allegations until we verify their violations, and to publicly announce it over the television seems inappropriate. So anytime you see a violation, you can forward it to staff and we'll look into it.
Thanks. All right. So that completes general business, and we're a little early, but are we okay to start? 601 East Michel Torrena Street, item 1? Yep. Okay. Let's do that. So it's a big one, so this is final review. And we have some minutes.
Let's see the site improvements, Michelle. That's those ones in the blue tags.
I think one fell off. I saw one.
part of it. But it's just, I got it right here. I just need these sets for right now.
Is there a scale of the comment area besides the small reduction?
I have the big set here.
Do you have another sheet?
I don't have another sheet of that. What I can do is,
I might have it on here.
do you have it on there? I can give you this one.
Here, you want a big scale too? I know you like this. Keep the what away?
So this is final on the landscaping side.
Yes, my name is Joe Anderlitis with Colonel Anderlitis Architects.
We have minutes, Michelle.
Katie O'Reilly Rogers with Office of Katie O'Reilly Rogers.
Can you just pop that on there and put that up there?
And I think this is our 23rd review with you guys. 24th?
Only?
Champagne? So our intent today is to receive final approval on the items we discussed 2 weeks ago. And our belief is if there's any other items that need further discussion, that we can address those on consent calendar. Obviously, we're trying to submit to the building department and have wanted to for some time. So I can go over the items on the minutes if
Let's
you
do
like.
that. I'll follow them along with you.
Okay.
If you could just voice them loudly and
I'm going to skip number 1 for right now
okay.
and go to number 2. Per the previous Historic Landmarks Commission suggestion, small trees to be incorporated into the visitor area. And I'll let Katie explain what we did there. Do you have another set there?
That's the landscape set, so that might be more helpful. So I'll address a couple of the comments in my explanation. This is the new stone wall with the commemorative plaques along it, as you saw previously. We've taken off 2 plaques at the end. We have created 2 18-inch high stone raised planters at either end and 1 at the corner. And what this does is it allows this connection to slope up at a maximum 4.99%. So we don't need any handrails across there to connect. So if someone wanted to cut across, they could, or they could come in and view the plaques from either side. We've put a Valencia orange in each one with star jasmine as a ground cover underneath it. In this one, we just have the ground cover planting below. We can't have anything tall because transportation wants a 30-inch max viewing across there. But in the middle of that, we have a location for a statue of St. Francis on a stone plinth. So I think that covers number 2, number 4. Who's squawking? Number 5, and number 3 under landscaping.
So we have 2 trees instead of the 1, which is the 2 orange.
It seemed it wanted to be balanced. Just to stick one tree in the middle seems sort of
Okay.
forced.
And we have, okay, we have number 3 is okay. Okay, that's 2, 3, and 4. We've kind of
And then
covered in that.
5, I mean, 5 is addressed there too. We basically,
Further refine the commemorative
we
plaque
added the
area.
statue, and we had to get rid of 2 plaque areas, but we
Right.
feel we can supplement, that with text on the plaques when that
And
goes to landmarks.
The other thing I should mention that I didn't is the paving in there is shown as flagstone, and the intent is to salvage flagstone from the demo of the St. Francis Gardens and put it in. We're not doing the concrete with growies between anymore.
Okay. This is in a, you have a note for that, or you have a...
It's in the overall, in those little tiny sets on the hardscape sheets.
Okay.
So that's number 5. Number 6,
Update the lighting plan to reflect the changes to the project.
you go to the architectural sheets. If you look at the legend, I have 2 symbols for lights. This is a light pole, and this is a path or step light. If that light's shown on a step, it would be a step light. If it's shown on the path, it'd be a path light. And they're shown strewn across the major public walkways throughout the site.
Strewn? I don't think that's a word.
Is that not a word?
I don't know. It's a good one, though. The intent is clear.
And they're basically about 8 feet on center along each of the major pathway areas. They're not shown in these villa areas because those are shown on those particular drawings as lights in the sides of the planters. I can go to those sheets and pull those out if you like, but that's been addressed previously.
Okay, so you're showing really the main paths going all the way up. I see them here.
Yeah, and you won't see them here because this is part of this building permit.
Okay.
Okay, so you won't see anything in here, but then you'll see it along here.
Yes.
Okay, along this step here.
Right.
And then we have pole lights along this internal street. We have lighting along this path all the way across here. We have lighting all the way along here, up around here, and then along this playground area, down the stairs, the center stair. I previously submitted the information 2 weeks ago. Do we still have that?
You looked at it and liked it. There's the flush one that just...
Okay. I just had a quick question. Are there any pole lights at the entrances to, or the major entrances to each part of the site? In
No.
other words, this would be one key point here. So you don't have any at this point.
I'm not
So is that
proposing any major street lights at the entrances.
Yeah. Not a street light, but say like a pedestrian lamp.
Let's not go into questions before the presentation is finished.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the whole thing. There will be some other questions that we could ask after too.
There are some additional street lights shown for the off-site improvements that were required as part of our conditions of approval. I can't recall where those exactly are, but we can pull those drawings out.
All right.
Number 7, consider the addition of a bench in the former gazebo area. And that was done last week.
That's shown on the landscape plan.
It's shown on our plan as well.
You put it on your plan?
I brought in your plan, so it's right here. So that's the bench. 8, staff is to clarify the bus stop requirement condition. AMRA did clarify that and said that those bus stops needed to be covered, or shuttle stops needed to be covered. So we've shown a covered shuttle stop here at shuttle stop number 2, and a covered shuttle stop here, shuttle stop number 1, and then on the upper site, what we did was we incorporated this shuttle stop into the carport area. So we added a handicap spot, and then we're making that an extra wide handicap spot that's covered with a bench and an area for a wheelchair access for waiting
I see.
for the shuttle.
Okay. Do we have a design for the cover?
Yes. cover just a simple trellis structure with a 6x6 post and 6x10 beams and just a flat T&G 2x6 roof with room for one bench and then a clear space for ADA.
Okay.
And then this is the extra width on this carport that you've seen before.
Okay. That's the bench there. Okay.
On the landscaping, I'll let you address those, Katie.
If you on the site improvement set, which is one of the on the site improvement set, the plant list, all of the Stenocarpus trees, including the 5 on the street, have been increased to 24-inch box size. Number 2, introduce low group plantings among the existing ground cover. We have shown that on those 2 sheets along Mitchell Terrena as requested. However, I've spoken with someone at the Streets Committee who says he does not think that will be approved by Parks. They want a monoculture planting in all of the parkways now, and there's a list of about 11 plants that they will accept. And the Cotoneaster ground cover that we have specified is on that list. But I've shown them anyway, so we'll take it to the Streets Committee and the Parks Department when they select the street tree, because they haven't done that yet for those 2 streets. And at that time, they'll review it, and if they approve it, good, and if they don't, we'll just go back to the plain Cotoneaster. And then the other one was study the planting in the corner visitor area to be more historic in nature, and that's where we've added the citrus trees and the low star jasmine as a ground cover.
So I think I've addressed all the items. The last item, Irma spoke to me earlier today and let us know that the location where we propose to put the statue is in the setback and would require a mod. And I'm not willing to go get a mod at this point for our project. As you can see, this little area is located entirely in the setback area. So it doesn't leave us many options on where to place the statue. My feeling has always been I've never felt the statue is necessary. This isn't a commemorative area to a saint. We're not, this is for memorializing a hospital that stood there for 100 years that was named after a saint. So I think what we've shown with the plaque, the existing image of the hospital back when it was originally constructed, and all the historical data of the people and places that have been a part of the hospital was more than sufficient in the way we've shown it.
Okay. Okay. Are you just addressing the minutes, or are you doing any kind of... Oh, you're not on? Oh, you turned it off?
I must have hit a button. It's someone's phone.
Okay.
I'm just addressing the minutes today. Those are the last items that we're aware of
On the landscape.
that we need to address to get our final approval. So.
Okay. That being said, I will bring back... we have one speaker slip from Killam DeForest.
Distribute those to the who will know what.
Sorry.
Oops.
Sorry.
I was going to say, that's why we always screw that.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Good afternoon, Killam DeForest. I'm here to make sure. I hear words about the statue, but I gather they're still trying to not have one. Looks like I've passed out the what the stigmata statue, St. Francis receiving the stigmata that was on the at St. Francis, and it certainly could be replicated. There is another one at in the Friars courtyard at the old mission. Another copy. Maybe the Franciscans would like to sell it to be put on this important site. And I think I realize this is no longer the hospital, but for 100 years it was the St. Francis Hospital, and I think he should be part of the memorial. And in fact, the Historic Landmarks Commission said, as a condition, asked you that something related to St. Francis should be included, such as a replica of the original statue or an abstract of the same. They also said that incorporate elements from the old building, and these criteria, these conditions were laid down right from the initial approval in 1906 by the City Council. And there was that was an important part of the conditions, that there be a suitable memorial to the hospital that you were tearing down, this institution that in Santa Barbara is 100 years old. And I have a feeling that this project is trying to shove that tradition under the rug, so to speak, or under a stone wall. So please listen to your Landmarks Commission and provide for a statue, at least, and that it can be seen, not just stuck down in this little tiny corner here. It should be up here where it can be seen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, I would close that.
Mr. Chair, I just want to announce a letter of opposition from Ms. Paula Westbury.
Thanks very much.
You want to speak?
Okay, we close that. Do you have a speaker slip for Michelle?
I can fill it out.
Okay,
I have just one question.
we have a speaker.
My name is Tony Fisher. I'm here on behalf of St. Francis Friends and Neighbors. Does the display structure components comply with the setbacks?
No, we just went over that. There was just one item that was proposed that was removed from the proposal, which was the statue, which was going to be in the setback. Has now been taken off the table, according to the applicants.
There's no statue now.
Not being proposed at this time. Okay, I'll close that portion of the review and bring it back to the board for questions. Okay, starting with Carol.
Prefer not. What do you think?
Chris, yeah.
Katie, the new flagstone area within, where the plaques are located, is that flagstone on concrete?
Yes, it'll be on a subslab, and it'll be grouted
Okay.
so that it meets ADA.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a few questions. My first question has, if we can go to the plan that has this corner at a larger scale. So I heard that these planters are 18 inches. What was the height of this?
The height
Wall
of
as
that
it-
wall is 42 inches high.
So it's 42 inches from here all the way around to here, and then that piece returns as 18 inches?
Yes.
Okay. That question was asked. I had another question. Given that some of this work is in the front setback, is any of this work requiring modifications, or is it
Not that I'm aware of.
site work and not?
It's considered
county?
site work.
And what about the bus shelters?
The bus shuttles are previously approved. Those locations are previously approved.
Okay, so they don't need a modification either.
No.
All right. And did you have a design for the shelter, the smaller shelters that are up here? I saw did I miss it? Because I thought
That was the one I showed was the smaller shelter,
it was.
and the other one was
Okay.
incorporated into the carport.
Okay, got it. No, that was it for my questions.
Thanks, Clay. Gary?
Did you study the idea of maybe putting the statue up right outside of the setback?
Irma called me at 2 o'clock today and told me the issue with the statue.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
I'm more than happy to consider other options if the board strongly feels that we need a statue. And we can put it in an area that's not within the setback. We could put it just behind the main plaque is one area that's just, if you look at my site plan, that area is just out. That's the only area that's just outside the setback. So,
Yep.
I prefer the location we had it previously, but it's a 30-inch high statue that needs a mod. So,
Okay.
That's it. Keith?
No questions. Okay. Yeah, Clay.
This
Go
is
ahead.
for question for staff. Just to refresh my memory and maybe the memories of other people. What exactly is recorded as a motion or approval or condition of approval with regards to the statute?
Sorry, I had it with me.
That's
right
okay.
now. Oh, here it is. The condition of approval reads, a commemorative display or area for the education of the public detailing the history of the St. Francis Hospital shall be integrated within the open space located at the corner of Mitchell Torrena and Salsipuedes streets. All text for the display shall be written by a city qualified historian and approved by the HLC. Additionally, at least one of the art pieces from the former St. Francis Hospital shall be incorporated into the on-site display if available. The display shall include decorative elements from the building.
And it doesn't. Does it say statue in that somewhere in that text?
No, it says art pieces.
Okay.
Landmarks Committee motion is where it is.
That's the condition of approval from the Planning
From
Commission.
the Planning Commission.
Correct.
Thanks.
Didn't the St. Francis Foundation
Yeah, then
Did
more
you want?
Well, I know Mr. Fisher's going to sit here and talk to us a little bit more out of order, but I want to know what is on record for information that describes the statute and what we're actually required to review and make a decision upon as the ABR. It might be that the HLC has their own aspect about it, but in terms of what we're sitting here today to review, what are we here to review regarding statute or no statute?
Correct. Well, as you know, the HLC did review the project. They did provide advisory comments to your board, but the condition of approval from the Planning Commission is what I just read.
Okay.
And the direction is basically to incorporate an art piece, if available, into the display area.
Okay.
You're a follow-up later. You can follow up with comments later.
Yeah.
Carol?
I actually have a question for Mr. Fisher. Is that okay to ask him?
So, Mr. Fisher, hello. I actually have a question for you, and or Mr. DeForest, whoever wants to answer this. I'm very curious. You're the official representative of Friends of the St. Francis
Friends and Neighbors.
Neighbors. very shortly, could you summarize what the neighborhood had expected to see in this corner? Do you have a sense from talking to your group?
I can't give you anything other than the wording of the original condition. I don't think had it down in that far down into the corner that it could potentially use more of the space at this intersection. Because this idea of putting it down at the corner seems fairly late in the process.
Okay.
And I think, you know, my comment is if you want to look to what the Landmarks Commission recommendations were about what it should be, is part of the history. I had the whole thing printed out this morning, and I see it's in there if that would help in finding it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is Mr. DeForest, is that your understanding?
Right from the approval, and I don't know if that is recoverable. I couldn't find it on the web what the exact language of the city approval was. But all along there has been a demand. Obviously the Friends of St. Francis would love to have something else there, or the hospital reused in a different way that wouldn't impact on their neighborhood, especially at the construction time. But all along, there was a demand that a suitable memorial be made, and originally, when they were doing the plans for the St. Francis, when they were doing the original plans, when Mr. Cornell did the original plans, the park was proposed up in this corner of the property. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have the big plan. But up on the south of Boetes and Arriaga section of the property, there was to be a sizable memorial, and then it was to come down here to this area, where the lawn park now is planned, and it's shrunk.
Yeah, I think it's best that if
thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Just for the help of the board, I'm going to reread these two motions. The first is by the Planning Commission. Historic display area, a commemorative display or area for the education of the public detailing the history of St. Francis Hospital shall be integrated within the open space area located at the corner of Mitchell Terreno and Salsipuedes. All text for the display shall be written by a city qualified historian and approved by the HLC. Additionally, at least one of the art pieces from the former St. Francis Hospital shall be incorporated into the on-site display, if available. The display shall include decorative elements from the building. And that is the full text of Planning Commission. HLC has one item on the historical commemoration. And for your benefit, it reads, would like to see it in a more prominent location and recommended the acquisition of a statue of St. Francis. The statue referred to was the Stigmata of St. Francis of Assisi by Francis Minturn Duke Cedric. The commemoration should include the history, importance to the community, photographs, and in particular the connection of people and personal stories to the former hospital site. And that is it. And I think we have our direction. Okay. Bringing it back to the board for comments. And I'd like to start. Keith, you have any comments?
I have no comments.
At this time, or you want to?
No, other than I believe that the applicants addressed all the comments that we had last time.
Great. That's a good one. Gary?
Just one. Decorative elements from the building. We kind of talked about that a little bit, but what actually is their decorative element?
As I stated last time, we are not aware of any decorative elements that remain on the building. I am more than happy to provide a decorative element in this display area if we find one during our demolition. And I'm more than happy to provide a statue if we had one. If we had the original statue, I would put that on this site. Believe me, I'm not trying to skirt this issue. I'm just telling you that we don't have the statue. We proposed a location now for a new one. It's in the setback. We're not willing to do a mod at this point. And if there's any decorative elements that we find of the existing hospital, we will most certainly incorporate that into the display area. We're more than happy to. We would love to.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary. Clay?
I think that the applicants addressed all the comments that the board has had. I think the issue of the statue, for me, it's surely not an important piece. How do I say this? I respect the desire to have the statue somewhere located on the site. I think that the proposal for the statue in that location is actually a pretty good location, and the commemorative plaques and all the work that you're doing at the corner, I think, is probably a better spot for that type of element on this site due to the visibility and people walking the streets. If it were up higher in this area, I don't think it would serve its function as something that is educational and more open to the public. I think if it was up higher, it would definitely keep people from actually going up there and viewing it. I'm on the fence of this on whether there's a statue or not. Quite honestly, I think that I think the design as it is can hold without the statue. Kind of hoping that maybe the board would jump in on their thoughts as well. We weren't directed that a statue had to be put in there. It was recommended. That's the language in the motion, in the advisory comments from HLC. So, given the desire of the applicant and the nature of the project and that wording, I don't feel compelled to require the applicant to go have a statue manufactured or conjure one out of thin air for the purpose of moving this project forward into the building department. So that's my comment.
Can I ask staff a question?
Yes.
Irma, is there a possibility that the whole issue with the mod is it holds up my submittal to the building department. Is there anything stopping me from getting a mod after I submit this to the building department? Can I get a mod at any time after I get my permit?
Well, certainly that can be, you can come through and process a mod after the fact.
At some point in the future, if we wanted to, we could come back to you and request a mod to place a statue at the corner.
Correct.
Okay.
Another thing that I wanted to mention to the board, and I'm looking for an answer from Mr. Limon, but this project was granted modifications for the setbacks. Every setback, I believe, that the property has, there may be a possibility of a substantial conformance to incorporate that statue as a mod to the mod that was granted previously, but that I'm looking into.
Okay.
And Irma, just remind me, we got rid of a lot of those mods.
Pardon me?
We did get rid of a lot of those mods.
Yes, that's why we have to look into it. It might be cleaner to just come back afterward.
Okay. Okay, Chris?
Yes. I think when you read the HLC comments, and I think we had a comment from the public too about when these plaques were moved onto the corner, and actually it wasn't too long ago, and to me, it just doesn't seem to work in that corner. I still think we have the problem of reading this plaque and then looking up at a big wall, and there's no relation to the actual property that way. And also the fact that the flagstone area sort of slopes down to the side, The whole area is going to slope, and it's going to be awkward to walk on. I mean, 5% is not a whole lot, but, you still get that feeling. So, to me, I'm just not still happy with the corner. I think everything else on the project works well. I'm just still having trouble there. I guess I don't want to design it, but as a suggestion, perhaps that area could be planted, and maybe the statue is amidst a lot of plants, and the plaques end up back up on the lawn area. But again, just a thought. Just not quite there with the corner yet.
Okay, Chris. Carol?
Thanks. Can I stand up and point?
Yep.
Okay. Well, first of all, and I say this with a lot of respect to both of you, because I know you're wonderful designers and you put a lot of time into this. But this is a residential neighborhood, and this project has been controversial for the neighbors. And to use this corner and have so much hardscape, and I just want to illustrate or show you what I'm looking at as I'm evaluating this. This entire corner in a residential neighborhood reads as so much hard. We have the sidewalk. We have this area that for all purposes, this is basically 99% hardscape. We have the sidewalk, we have the ramp, we have hardscape here, we have some voided areas here. This whole corner does not fit into this residential neighborhood. And I think in order to make a connection from the park and to knit it back into this neighborhood, I never really envisioned this as being like a visitor center where people could congregate. I almost saw when I first was presented the idea that this corner is to be as a nod to Old St. Francis, I was in my mind thinking, what have I seen in the Riviera neighborhoods that have done the same thing throughout, 100 years? Is it not on? Okay. And in my mind, I was thinking of the charming examples of little plaques and little religious things that have been incorporated into the old walls where you just kind of come upon it. And we have opportunities here, and I'm just going to show you something. In my mind, it's a lot more charming that this is right next to the sidewalk, this wall. If there would be something informational that maybe this is here, maybe this is here. So you kind of discover it as you're walking through the neighborhood, maybe something on a wall, here. The reason why I'm bringing this up is this is almost like a visitor center where almost like a little school bus of children come and there's like a docent that talks about something historical. This is about 30 feet from here to the wall. And to take up more than 50% of that with a hard material on a corner, to me, isn't the best use of this space. And I'm struggling with just this application from a basic design point of view and really how to, really acknowledge what the neighbors I think, have been talking about this whole time. Okay, that's number one. But I do say that with a lot of respect for both of you because I know that you have put your best thinking into it. Okay, now just a couple other things. Conversational seating was something we talked about, from day one. And when I saw that there's like a lone bench, what I was trying to get at, and do you mind if I just draw on this? Is that okay if I?
Go ahead.
Conversational seating in my mind is when you're on a bench, you're pretty much facing forward. And it's really difficult for more than really one person to really face another person and have a conversation. And since we have the space here, if we could just get two benches here with maybe something a little higher underneath, this is a great opportunity to create that conversational seating that we've never been able to accomplish anywhere else. The second thing is if we could incorporate a tree wherever this seating is, then the person is encouraged to sit underneath shade. And if children are playing in the park, the lawn area, I tend to think that people are a little bit more comfortable sitting on a bench underneath the tree, opposed to just being in a very voided area where the sun is on them at all times. So that's just a thought of looking at your tree plan in with your benches, that if you agree, that would be something that I think would bring that up to a much more enjoyable level for the people using that. The last thing is, that little accents in the ground cover. I see that you've done that on Micheltorena, but it didn't show on the California Street plan, and that was probably a drafting error because that's left as is.
You only mentioned Micheltorena. I'd be happy to carry it up.
In the minutes, it says Micheltorena and California.
Oh, it sure does.
Okay.
I misunderstood. I'd be happy to carry it up.
Okay, that would be great. And that's all.
Okay.
Thank you. I need to take this.
Yep. Okay, Paul? Okay. For me, I would say that I just want to address, I think that I think we've gone around this location for where this is here, and I have to say that I am comfortable with where the proposal is right now. I actually, as far as the statue is concerned, I'm very much like Clay's comment. I don't particularly see a need to have the statue. I actually think that if the statue is in this prominent little corner position here, it could be a target for vandals or that sort of thing. I just think it needs to be in a more, if we did have it to be in a more sheltered area, and I'd probably feel happier, and this is more of a personal opinion, that instead of a statue, it was an image of it that maybe was on the plaque itself, so that it could not be an object that could be defaced. I would be totally happy if that were back in the corner within the already set setbacks in the central part here. Again, that's just a comment to help you guys if you decide to do that. But essentially, the proposal that you have here, I'm comfortable with it, especially because of the distance that the conversation on this has come. And I think it has been talked over and over a lot. The one comment that I had was, I really think that at the major entries to this whole project, that you really should have a pedestrian pole lamp. And that's for people walking up the street to easily recognize from a few hundred feet away that that's the entrance to the site. And it could be a low voltage lamp, but I thought that that would really help the overall project. I think that the bus stop areas are fine. They do the job within the styling that you've set out for the project. I think Carol's thought on the landscaping on that other street that was missed is something that you would include. And that's where I am. So, any other comments before we open up to a motion? No.
Chair,
Carrie.
I would just like to say that I'm really comfortable with the location of the memorial. I think this is a great site for it. I think it's an area that the public can use, as opposed to if it was someplace else, the public wouldn't feel as comfortable going up to it. Similar to the Red Lion, they've got that big area of a park area there, but no one feels like they can go over there, yet it's for the public. So I think this is very inviting to the public, and I think that it will be enjoyed by the public. I do like the idea of a statue. I think a statue would be nice in that area. I don't really care if it's in that spot. I don't care about the size of it, whether it's a 36-inch one or something. But I think a nice little statue is a nod. But I don't see it holding up this project. I think that's ridiculous. I think it needs to move forward, and we need to finalize this and move it along. But yeah, you know, a statue in the corner. It could be Nurse Ratched for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something. I don't know. It just needs to be something there.
Could it be up in here somewhere?
Could be. But, you know, I really think that this needs to move along.
So, if I'm right, essentially what you're saying is that the proposal is good to move it along and give them final and leave the comment that for them to further their thoughts on the inclusion or not of an object in that realm, statue, image of statue, whatever they...
At another date and time.
At another date and time. But you're essentially right to move it on with this proposal without it, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, with that, you have a further comment, Carol?
No, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion, and I think that this motion is going to fail, but I want it to go in record. So here's my motion. The motion is that this corner, this corner design to acknowledge the history of St. Francis shall be restudied. Is my mic not working?
Chris,
Yes.
draw your attention to item
It
3.
is working? Okay. I think it's working. Oh, this is the problem. Okay, so the motion is, and I think it's going to fail, is that the corner element on Celso Puedes and Mitchell Traina Street shall be restudied to incorporate Planning Commission and Council's direction to have architectural artifacts incorporated into the design, period.
Sorry, say again? I
The motion, the motion is to have the corner area to commemorate the history of St. Francis Hospital, located on the corner of Celso Puedes and Mitchell Traina, be restudied to incorporate Planning Commission and Council's direction to have architectural artifacts from the original building incorporated into the design.
Okay, that's Carol's motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
No second. Motion fails.
Second.
Oh, you second? Chris seconds. Second motion. Do we have any other motions at this time
Protocol.
to vote on it?
Was that final consent? How does that motion? Was that motion to come back?
Are you holding the whole project up for this?
No, I would be willing to add in the motion, that whole motion. Michelle's shaking her head at me. You could give me guidance. I would be happy to add in the motion, unless you're guiding me differently, to have that as... actually, Michelle, you guide me first before I do that.
I was just going to state that's too much to be dealt with that consent. If you want a redesign of that area, it needs to be looked at the full board.
Is there some way, Michelle, that I could make that motion and separate it out from the body of the project? You're shaking your head
that's
no.
a design element. We want the final approval to be cohesive of the whole project.
Okay, so then the motion is on the table with the motion and a seconder.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against?
Okay,
Motion fails.
so the reason for that is I want that to be in the record. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Keith. Just before you make the motion, I just want to note that we have our previous minutes here, and I'm just trying to reread just to give it the history of some of this. Was we have our minutes that say that the board had preferred a small plaque in the corner location from a previous ABR meeting. We just want to let you know that okay? Okay.
Sure.
Keith, go ahead.
Grant final approval with the following comments, that the additional accent planting be added along California Street, and that we leave it to the applicant's discretion to sometime in the future pursue or not to pursue the addition of a statue within the project. That's it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Clay. Under discussion.
Under discussion. I think it would, the applicant to look at adding light poles at entryways along South Sepuedes, Milton Terrena, and California Street.
Thanks, Clay. Paul, you had a under discussion?
Another item under discussion, if it's okay with the firster, to say for the applicant during the demolition process, if they discover any remains, that they incorporate that in as an ongoing basis. If that's okay to add.
As maker of the motion, I agree to both those additional conditions.
And under discussion?
Under
Gary?
discussion. If it's okay with the motion maker to just say that we would suggest a statue, but still keep the same words, but more than, so there's a little bit more positive towards getting a statue than being a little bit as wishy-washy as a yes and a no on the statue. That we strongly suggest a statue if that is or is not possible.
I would prefer to keep the motion as originally worded. We leave to their discretion. So.
Thank you. Under the amended motion, do you have the wording that Paul added? I just want to make sure. Okay. And what Clay added with the lamp. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So we have all those against. 2 against. Motion carries.
I'd like to thank the board with working with us for almost 2 or more than 2 years. I think you guys made the project a better project, and I appreciate all your time and effort on this.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you very much.
Thanks.
My dad was born there in 1927. Is that right? There's going to be a statue. I couldn't say that on... No. I couldn't say that on the record. I'd get whomped. They're just poetic. You know, we found one that's about this high, and it's bronze, and it's really modern, and it's quiet. But I think it might be up in the park in summer.
James, if you could just give us your name for the record.
I'm Jim Zimmerman, architect for the Yacht Club. And see, we have the site plan here and the parking lot over in this area. Mm-hmm. What we'd like to do is expand the second floor of the kitchen, project it out about 9 feet, which would encompass an existing deck, and that would be over this area below. There's an existing deck and some storage below that.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm right, you're talking about this area right here?
Yes, right here.
So you'd like to expand that elevation or that wall of the building out to this face?
Yes.
So that wall would then continue all the way down to here?
Right.
And would it be a blank wall like that?
It'd be a solid wall, yes. And then the stairs are in front of it. See, the stairs go in front of the of this wall coming across. So the stairs would be giving it some, some relief.
So what you'd like to do is this little cutout here.
Yeah.
Is above. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the second
second floor plan.
Second floor plan. So it'd be. We have the existing kitchen here, and so we'd be enclosing this portion. And then up above, the stairs still come down. This shades the area up above that's going to be enclosed.
Okay. This is the upper level plan.
So there would be
So this would be enclosed here like that.
Yeah, there's an existing deck there right now.
I'm missing something here. This is north.
The parking lot. I'm sorry, it's right here. This is the area here that's
Yeah,
going to be...
this is what's confusing me.
This is the second phase.
Okay.
That we'd like to ask for. There's an existing deck here. We'd like to expand the kitchen out to that point, and then the stairs come down here.
So you're bringing the deck out a little far?
Well, the deck stays... No, the line of the existing deck would stay here, and that would be enclosed. And then these are the existing stairs.
So that staircase will only go to the interior of the kitchen?
That's correct, yeah.
And then this is just a...
This is a walkway that they used to clean the windows when the club was first opened.
Is that out here somewhere?
Yes.
It's a walkway right there, like a catwalk that you stand on.
Yes.
To clean the windows. Okay.
Right.
I guess it's some without a railing or anything.
Yeah, some of them don't get cleaned.
Well, the new windows that we put in, you can open the windows to clean.
Oh.
But when the club was first built, you weren't able to get outside to clean the windows. They were all fixed. And there was a catwalk going around there. So this is kind of the remainder of a catwalk.
So can that be removed now? That it's no longer
needed? That could be removed, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just going to open this up to the public to see if there's anyone that wants to comment.
Just one letter of opposition from Ms. Paula Westbury.
Thanks very much. Close that portion of it and bring it back to the board for questions. And
okay, the second item, there's one more item.
Oh, you want?
Yeah,
I thought you had finished.
No, the second item is what we'd like to do is we'd like to move these existing stairs out so that we can get another access from the dining room. Right now, you come out the dining room and there's an existing deck coming around like this that dead ends. And when we get a large group in the dining room,
the way to get out is here.
So we'd like to get another exit out this way.
Can I see what that would look like on the elevation?
Yeah. It would pretty much match these stairs over here.
I guess this is not connected here.
So it would be these stairs here. So basically, we're just taking those stairs and we're moving them out 4 feet, so that deck up above can continue around.
So this deck is really here now?
Yes.
Right in here?
Yes.
So you're extending that out, okay.
Right. And it would pretty much match the existing stairs that we have over here on the other end of the club.
Okay. And then this was where we would be asking for that catwalk to be removed right here.
Yeah, we could remove that.
Yeah. And then this is that portion that you want to extend the building out this way to connect to this wall.
Right.
So what's this line here now?
Well, that's the line of the existing kitchen, and then this would be the addition.
So that line would go away then. If
Yes.
it was connected, it'd be all one wall.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's bring it back to the board for questions. Anyone questions? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions, only just because I don't know this building as well as you do. But when I'm looking at, can we go to the floor plan? So we're adding onto the kitchen here on the upper floor.
Kitchen here.
Oh, the kitchen there. We're adding onto the kitchen there.
This is west, this is east.
And this is the ocean.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this is the parking lot out here.
And then this is the other stair that you're talking about.
Yes,
From the upper floor down. And then it comes down to here.
Right.
Okay. And then if I turn the page this portion is the existing deck with the new stairs on the east side.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, this stairs here right now.
Okay, good. That makes sense. Okay, that was my question.
Jim, have you you have sized this for the occupancy of the building already?
Yes,
And the fact that you are taking this away from an exit, maybe to come down here, that's not a problem, right? You have one exit down here and another here.
Yeah. No, this wasn't a required exit.
It wasn't. Okay.
No, it wasn't a required exit.
Okay, so that will stay as 3.8 if it's kept.
Right.
Okay. So any other questions?
Mr. Chair, one
Yes.
question.
Keith.
On the new stair on the east side, was the intent to have the guardrail detail of that to match sort of the panel detail elsewhere, or it appears like it's shown as rails now, or what?
That would match.
It's going to match existing.
That would match existing.
So you're going to do it more like this?
Well, the west side doesn't show the rails coming down. But
so
they actually
that
do.
side, oh yeah.
Yeah.
See the step in there?
I see that, yeah.
It doesn't have that white board.
Right. So you're going to match this side, or you're going to match the existing that was there?
It will match. It'll match the existing what's there now.
So not necessarily this.
Not necessarily that
No,
side.
no.
Okay. I was good.
Okay, let's have some comments. Paul? Clay? Gary?
No, I think it's simple enough there.
Yeah. Keith?
I guess my only comment would be just questioning the different guardrail detail at that location on that eastern stair versus all the other guardrails around the exterior.
Agree with that.
Yeah, we could look at that and see if what would match better, whether we'd want to go with the design of the other guardrail or not. So we'll look into that and see.
And I guess I'd be inclined, I'm going to follow up your comment with my own. I would be inclined to, when you look at that, I think you should look at this side. Whatever you do here in terms of this angle is what you would probably be trying to do here. You see, one of the things is that if you keep the panels and those guardrails or the wires are see-through, you get this horizontal feel visually from the bright panels. And you can see in this photograph here, you've broken that horizontal here with this angled one. Right. So whichever way you've studied it and you figure that's the direction you want to go, I think that there should be some cohesion between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, what we did over here was when this stairway was actually rotted out about 3 years ago, and we replaced it with a new stairway. So we added a higher rail going down because of code. So what we did is we ran a couple stainless steel cables around so that we could raise it up but still match the other railing. You know, that the teak rail running around. So we'll look at that and see if we can match that.
And am I right with this new stair that's coming down here, you don't have any new vertical supports? It's just coming straight out horizontally to support that step.
It's cantilevering, yeah.
Okay. If I could follow up on my comment, the one concern I have on the western side with that build out is the very thing that I'm seeing right now with the existing western elevation, which is you get this expanse of white, this block here, and I think that that's really probably one of the worst portions of the elevation of the yacht club. And I think that bringing that wall out and increasing the size of this would be making that worse than it already is. And I think that when you restudy this, it would be good that you look at this elevation to see if you can give it, or if there's anything that you can do to give it some more of this this type of styling that tends to lose this white block mass from the sunlight, you know?
That's a good point, yeah. Okay.
Maybe put a cap on.
Whichever, yeah. Okay. So, Carol and Chris, do you guys have any comments you want to make? Yeah.
So if I'm reading the site plan proposal correctly, you're adding on coming toward the water. So there's more mass coming out.
Yes, right.
Did you comment in your presentation about blocking views of people coming down on the path, the breakwater path? Not the breakwater out here, but the sidewalk, because that's a spectacular view down the coast. Was there any consideration on what you're doing to...
Yeah, when you walk down along the waterfront by Marina One and where the fishing boats are stored in their slips, you're actually looking at the club.
Right.
You know, you're not actually looking from the north directly to the south.
Well, where on your site plan could you point to the area that the ramp going down to Marina One is? So where approximately is that?
Yeah, this is the.
These are the areas of.
Yeah, this is Coast Chandlery.
Right.
Are you talking about on the west side or east side?
There's a ramp here someplace that has the. There's a ramp. Here. There's a ramp like somewhere right here.
Yeah.
Where is that?
That ramp is about right here, and that goes down to Marina One.
Right.
So walking along here, this really isn't blocking, any views to the ocean. When you're walking along,
right.
When the
so
public's
when you're walking along here, because this is a very popular place to
right.
watch the sunset when the water is breaking, when the
right.
waves are breaking, you can't have access. In fact, the city
right.
harbor puts up the sign right here, do not enter.
Right.
So this becomes a very congregated area for sunset. And what I'm really wanting to make sure is that, this is a very popular sunset spot, is that what you're doing here, because what's spectacular about this is that long vista
right.
until you see the cliffs.
There's no expansion in this direction.
So Jim, what's your answer to my question?
No, this would not block any views to the west.
So
because
this mass, whatever you're doing here, this isn't
we're
happening?
not doing anything there.
Okay.
It's all recessed back.
Okay, good. Then I'm
so
satisfied.
you're looking right at the building, not at the...
Okay, so there's no more protrusion than it already is
no.
what you're saying. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Does you have any questions? Do either of you have any comments? Okay. We can entertain a motion. And Jim has agreed to look at that west elevation and to see what he can do to nullify the effects of the flat wall and to look at the guardrail styling. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this to the consent calendar for preliminary approval with the following comments, and there'll be 3 of them. One of them is to address the deck rail detailing and how it interacts with the current deck railing. The second one is to look at the west elevation for some articulation to break up the large mass. And the third item was to look at removing the catwalks that are no longer being utilized.
Thank you.
That'd be on the west side.
On the west elevation,
Yeah.
the catwalks on the west elevation
Right.
that are no longer utilized.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
we have a second?
we're asking for good comments because we're going to planning commission.
Let me back up. Making
We're going to try not to go to planning commission. But
Sorry, Paul, but I just want to say, would it be wise for us to, maybe we should finish this design before we send it on to planning commission?
Then let's return it back to full board with those comments. And then with that, then we'll make positive comments to either staff hearing officer or PC.
Would you be all right with that?
And if you can bring some details for those handrails, just so that you'll have to do it eventually for working drawings.
Okay.
Just so we know how that interaction is going to happen.
Great. Can I have a second? Second by Clay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Jim.
Great. Okay.
And just for staff's benefit, that's returning back to full board.
Full board.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay. Item number 3, 120 South Hope Avenue. We'll adjourn for a few minutes until the applicant arrives for item number 3. Thank you.
And he'll kiss your lips and caress your waiting fingertips and your heart.
Now every time I pass
Seeing this item out of order, which is item 4, 3230 State Street. Okay. Hi. State your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Scott Dunaway.
Okay.
Is that the same as this?
It is. You want to use those instead?
Here we go. Okay, and this project requires findings of no visual impacts.
So this is a project on 3230 State Street. It's a T-Mobile project. It's an installation of some antennas and some equipment. And what we are proposing to do is there is an existing chimney on the facility.
Mm-hmm.
We're planning on raising that 2 feet.
Okay. How? Maybe I just should ask you, how does this proposal? There was a previous T-Mobile proposal on this same site, and so this is a continuation of that.
This is a continuation. This is the second time for this project for conceptual.
Okay.
Let me just interject. There were 2 projects. One was requesting some modifications, and it got appealed and denied. And so this is a new project. They've eliminated the modifications, and they are doing improvements to the site, general site improvements, and they don't need modifications. So that's why it's a new application.
It's a new application then. Okay. Oh.
It was reviewed once before under this.
Right, and if I may, I'd like to point out the different changes that we've done since the continue item to this plan here. It's best to look at the elevations of the plans here.
Does everyone know where we are on State Street? Okay, good.
The last time we came in front of the board, we were proposing to raise this chimney 3 feet. Currently, it's at 33 feet. We're proposing to raise it up 2 feet, and our antennas will fit into the chimney, and we'll build around the chimney, and we'll match the chimney facade that's out there with the material that the antennas can broadcast through the material. So it'll be the same chimney. It'll just be a difference of 2 feet taller.
So right now it's a stone finished chimney.
Right now it's a stone veneer finish.
Veneer finish.
And one of the comments that came out was to finish it with more of a Santa Barbara stone style.
Okay.
And that's what we've proposed here. The Santa Barbara style stone for the rock veneer. I took these out on Sunday. This is existing, so we would be proposing to raise it 2 feet.
Is that the extent of the proposal?
That's primarily the extent of the antennas. All of our equipment will be located inside the
existing
structure. And this would be the doorway to the inside of the structure where our equipment will be located. We are also proposing new landscaping. As you can see, we'll be taking this back to the original trash enclosure, and there's some this wall we'll be taking down, and we've got a landscape plan that will be landscaping the area back there. We're also adding landscaping to the front of the building, and I think that's best seen on the landscaping plan from the turn there. So this is the area that's going to be significantly landscaped. We're proposing to take down this wall and then add an 18-foot high wall there, and add in
18 inch.
18 inch, yes. Sorry, 18 inch. And added some ground cover, a pear tree, some bougainvillea, and this will be irrigated as well.
This would be trash enclosure here.
This is the existing footprint of the trash enclosure. Originally, this had been built out, and they were using it as a storage shed.
Right.
And we're going to take it back. And
so this would be reduced to that 18 inches high.
This would be an 18-inch
landscape in front, and then this would be like a planter bed.
Correct.
And this would be a 6-inch cube.
Right.
And what would this be?
This is going to be concrete block, stucco.
To what height?
It's existing out there now.
Okay.
I believe it's 6 feet.
6 feet high? Okay. Do you have an elevation of those doors? Or detail? Is that it?
Yes.
And that's existing, you say? This wall?
This wall is existing, yes.
Okay.
There's a wall that extends out. Those photos show it. That we'll be bringing that down and creating an 18-inch wall for the landscaping area.
Okay. And then this is in no way, this is not being increased. Am I right? The actual square size is not being increased.
No, the square size is not only the height.
Only the height. Okay. And then this is going to be refaced with Santa Barbara sandstone.
Correct.
Veneer.
It's a faux finish, a finish that allows for the transparency of the antennas for the connectivity.
Okay.
And then we're also doing landscaping in the front. We were asked to do some landscaping that hangs over the walls to deter some graffiti and some additional irrigation.
Okay, let's look at the site plan to see what the overall landscaping is right now. Is this the overall site plan?
This is the overall site plan. We've got an overall that shows all the
Landscaping, okay.
So this is existing landscaping here.
And this would be new?
Existing.
This is existing?
Right now they have a bricked-in patio, and we will be returning it back to a landscaped area. This is existing tree here.
This is existing parking?
Existing parking. So the landscaping that we will be is here, here, and here. We will be adding.
Okay. Questions on the board?
Maybe.
Chris?
Clarify that one more time with the planting, with what's existing and what's new.
Existing is dark, and the new will be the lighter shade here.
So these underneath this
existing
are new. Underneath this Pyrus.
Underneath will be new that we're
Okay.
adding.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what the symbols here because they don't exactly match up. Okay, that's my question.
Any other questions before we move on to comments? Okay, I'm going to read the minutes. Some of it may not pertain, but I'll read it also for the benefit of the board. Continued indefinitely to the full board with the following comments. On the fourth chimney, the board finds that a 3-foot height increase is still too tall and would prefer a 2-foot maximum height increase. The board continues to suggest moving the arrays into the corner to take advantage of the angle of the antenna array and the existing roof form. The proposed stone is preferable. The proposed stone is acceptable because it matches the existing stone. However, if a total refacing of the veneer is proposed, a more regionally acceptable stone should be used, such as Santa Barbara sandstone. On the landscaping, document all existing significant landscaping on the property and in the right-of-ways, such as existing street trees, existing plants and trees, and landscaping in the planters on both sides of the driveway. Both planters on either side of the driveway shall have landscape improvements. In the rear of the property, develop landscape and wall solutions which provides landscape screening and enhancement to the alley for the benefit of residential neighbors, including the trash and recycling containment. Provide cascading plants down the front walls at State Street to deter graffiti. Show all existing doors and trash enclosure, landscaping and hardscape and softscape, including planting in the right-of-way area adjacent to the alley. The board appreciates replanting the existing as-built paved patio planters at the front of the building. Replanting. Okay. As a 510. Okay. Okay, I guess I'm going to start comments. Anyone have comments?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go right ahead, Paul.
There was one comment you read about clinging vines or cascading down.
Yeah, can I read it again?
Thank you.
Provide cascading plants down the front walls at State Street to deter graffiti.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Keith, you have comments or questions? I guess we could start on comments. Yeah.
I think the proposed extension of the chimney looks fine. I think it's kind of actually helps that existing chimney is kind of a weird squat proportion anyway. So I think a little more verticality actually makes it look a little better. That's the only comment I have.
Okay, Gary?
No comment.
No comment. Chris?
Yeah, I have another quick question.
Yeah.
About the planting in the back by the alley.
Yeah.
How was the decision made to stop here? Is this a curb?
This will be a curb cut.
Okay. And is there a reason it stopped here and didn't continue to the edge of the building to provide more screening for the building from the alley?
This is an entrance that to the parking lot, and the trash truck will need to make that turn there.
Okay.
So that's why we kept it enclosed to that area.
Okay.
Could be. You want?
Yeah. I think that would be my comment, to make that a little more graceful there. Perhaps, I don't know if this is curb, I assume, it just kind of sticks out.
This is existing wall.
This is wall.
This will be the 18-inch
wall.
Okay.
That
we're proposing. Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess my comment would be I would recommend, providing some shape there to that bed. And bring the planting in accordingly.
Okay.
Or over accordingly, I suppose. Okay. That's all for my comments.
Thanks, Chris. Paul?
Yep.
Clay?
I do.
No,
Just a question.
Okay, come on.
Just this trash enclosure is staying where it is, right? So the dash lines aren't really suggesting it's being removed.
No, it's staying where it is.
Staying where it is.
So it should be solid.
It was dashed because it had a roof enclosure over the top of it.
Okay, got it. So as
this has been removed.
So this portion of wall here is the trash enclosure, which stays.
Right.
This portion of wall that comes across here and across here is actually dropping down.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then this is the line of the building?
This is the line of the building.
Okay. And Chris, did you look to see about plantings that drape over the front wall? And are we meeting those?
Yeah, in the very front of the building, the lantana will cascade. However, on the right side, as you're facing the building,
over here.
I'm not seeing any cascading plants there. I mean, the bougainvillea. This is existing, right? The bougainvillea? That's
right.
To remain.
Yeah.
And what are these?
Those are that's additional bougainvillea.
Okay.
Bigger ones?
So, yeah, those will certainly, to overtake that wall.
Okay.
And then
The reason was that it used to be based in stone, and then they plastered it without it.
It used to be brick, right?
Yeah. No, it used to be based in
The stone?
Flagstone.
And then the other question I had was with regards to the material for the chimney. So you were saying that it's going to be a faux stone. What is it? Is it going to be plaster to look like sandstone?
Yeah, well, they take a mold. They take a mold of the sandstone, and then they create it's basically a fiberglass material with the texture and paint, and then that's the faux material that they use.
Okay. You guys all get that?
Yep. Okay. Gary, you had a comment?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. If I understand this correctly, you're going to remove the existing chimney, but you're not going to bring it in. You're just going to bring it 2 feet higher than the existing chimney. And so what I was wondering is, we have this 8-foot by 7-foot chimney. Is it possible to reduce that to a smaller dimension than 8 foot by 7 foot?
The width?
Mm-hmm. The width. I mean, if we have the chance of that chimney being removed, it seems like we might be able to get a little bit better looking chimney out of the deal.
These are existing dimensions.
Correct. One of the reasons we kept it the same was just because that's the size of there's a hole in the roof at that size. Bringing in additional roofing, flashing. I mean, it's a possibility we could look at, see if we could. Would you suggest a 7x7? Is that?
I don't know. Let's let the rest of the board chime in and see how they feel about that. Mr. Chair?
I would, not to say that that idea is not good, except having to add a little more roofing area, you'll always have a discoloration between the original roof and the newer roof, and they'll always have that little bit of a haze. So I would say keep the footprint the way it is, for the simplicity of it, instead of making the actual chimney smaller.
Yeah. Okay. Before the others come back, I have a few comments I'd like to make. I think that I think Santa Barbara sandstone up there, to refinishing it, actually is not the right material, only because Santa Barbara sandstone gives the image that it's a heavy material, and this chimney is not a chimney that progresses from the ground all the way up. It's a chimney that sits on top of the roof itself, and so I'm a little. I think that what might be more appropriate is a material like a I don't know, like a veneer brick, for instance. But I would like to hear what the others think. I could go either way. So
okay.
if they think that it's fine, I'm fine with it also. But that's just my first thought. I think that at the very least, the rear of this building should be repainted, along with the improvements that you're doing in the back, because there are some images that show stuff that has happened in the back, and and with all this cleaning up that you're doing, I think that that area should be redone. And then I think that the gates to the trash enclosure could have a little bit better design with it. Maybe it should have a frame all around, instead of just the vertical boarding. Because vertical boarding looks to me, it's just like a piece of a fence that you just you're using as a doorway, as opposed to a real gate itself designed to be there. So I think the gate needs a little bit of design. And that's my comments for now. I'd like to hear what the others have to say. Any other comments?
I have a couple of planting comments. I was just noticing that a lot of what you're proposing to plant are 1 gallons, and I think being that this is sort of a commercial zone, I would encourage you to plant 5-gallon plants as much as possible, especially for the lantana that you're proposing to creep over the wall. Right. I just think 1 gallons have a much higher mortality rate in a setting like that. And then also on that trash enclosure, I would encourage you to add perhaps some sort of a creeping vine on the back side of it to provide a little more green screen, such as Boston ivy or creeping fig. And that would be, I can show you, on the wall facing the alley, somewhere in here. Yeah, and that'll also creep around the side also, which will help.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all.
With that, is everybody comfortable with the extension to the chimney? Show of heads, everybody is okay. We're open for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I just want to address public comment.
Public comment?
I'm going to open it. I don't know if anybody's here.
Anyone in public would like to say something on this proposal? No? Okay. Back.
And then we have a letter from Ms. Paula Westbury in opposition.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the board for a motion. Sorry? Findings?
I just wanted to remind you to include the findings in your motion.
Of no visual impact?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion giving this preliminary approval, or do we feel it's fine for final? But I think it's good enough for preliminary with final on consent if there's any outstanding items.
Yeah.
Making the findings that the cell towers is not going to be a significant visual impact, since the chimney is only rising in 2 feet and will be clad with the similar stone that's already up there. Also, making the comments of the significant landscaping that's being added to the front, and the cleaning up and the correcting of the storage shed and the planting and the trash area to the rear of the property.
And the landscaping that Chris said.
And the comment for the landscaping, that the lantana in the front be 5-gallon minimum size, and in the back along the trash enclosure to provide a clinging fig vine.
Or some climbing vine.
Some climbing vine. And the third landscape comment would be to radius the curb cut as shown on the drawings.
The gate, the design of the gate. Oh, you're not. It's up to you.
To me, I don't think that's that much of an issue, but I would say that the applicant is encouraged to study a more interesting gate design, and so this would be for preliminary approval with final on consent.
Great.
I'll second that motion. Under discussion, Paul, I'm just thinking about the gate, that it be of high quality in construction, so that it's not something that falls apart in 6 months from opening and shutting.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Under discussion for coming back to consent, I think it would be good to include a requirement for them to give a detailed section through that chimney wall to show how it's constructed. And instead of just adding on to the bottom, it probably should be that they take off the whole veneer and then replace the whole veneer with one new one.
I was under the impression that it's all new stone veneer on this chimney.
I got that too.
It's the fiberglass GFSR.
Okay, great. You're correct. You're correct. I stand corrected.
But I would agree with what Chris's comment was about providing a detailed construction section through the chimney, showing the installation. And another item that wasn't mentioned is to provide a color board, because throughout the plans it talks about it matching existing, and we just need to have a record of what the existing is for our finals.
Did we get in or no visual impacts?
I wanted one more item under discussion, if we could. Just that you mentioned that it would match the existing stone, and I thought that Chris's comment about...
I more was referring, I saw the note for the trash enclosure. It talked about the plaster and matching the existing color.
Okay.
The GFSRC, the fiberglass stone, was going to be Santa Barbara sandstone.
And I would agree with Chris, although I like Santa Barbara sandstone a lot. I think that perhaps a brick would look a little bit better with this structure. I don't know. Is everybody else okay with that? Or
I'm either way. I'm not pushing it in either one direction. So.
But it's not the flagstone.
It's not the flagstone, and I would say that the buff color of the Santa Barbara is going to be better than what's there. So people in the community would see it as an improvement.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with that, as long as it's not the flagstone.
Okay.
I have one more discussion item. I think, Paul, you had said that I requested that the 1-gallon lantanas be changed, and I think all of the 1 gallons on the plan, because you have, carpet roses in the back. If you put 1 gallons in there, and also these dietes, if it gets stepped on once, the plant's going to disappear. So 5 gallons is a little more substantial. I think it'll be worth it in the end for longevity.
I'm fine with that. Great. All 1 gallons to become 5 gallon.
Thank you. Great. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Our next item of the evening and final is number 3, 120 South Hope Avenue, H123. What's that on there, Keith? Nice yacht club. Nice yacht club. Is your pen?
No.
Is this your pen? Paul? Whose pen? Carol's pen? Is this Carol's pen? No?
Sell it on eBay.
Nice pen. Here you go, Michelle. It's a nice pen. You got a present. Present from the board. Okay.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good.
State your name for the record.
My name is Ryan Mills with the Conceptual Motion Company.
Okay.
And Edward DeVicente with the Conceptual Motion Company.
Thank you.
And this is Eves Delorum in La Cumbre Plaza. We were last here March 9th and introduced this new concept to you guys.
Okay.
And we have a fairly brief list of comments that we're willing to go through if we should start there.
Okay. Can I just quickly review the minutes here? Continued indefinitely to the full board. The design is going in the right direction. Center the arched opening with the store entry. Study the parking lot entry door to be recessed similar to the main entry. Correct plans to reflect the proposed design as presented in the perspective drawing. The plan should reflect the adjacent storefront to the interior with regard to the canopy and plan view. The plan, okay. Incorporate in-ground planting wherever possible, especially on either side of the main entryway. Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll just go down that list. So, number two being the centering the arched opening on the entry door. Let me go to the elevation page, Mike. So there's two things at work with this elevation here. This existing portico that we're basically working with the structure, we're furring it out and beefing it up, but that was one constraint. The second was an existing glazed opening. And like we've seen before, we had a lot of those conditions where the glazing actually kind of went too far, where we didn't have a place for this portico to return, so we ended up pushing the glazing over as far as we could without making it too small. We're already under per the guidelines, the amount of glazing they would like to see at this storefront, which we briefly spoke about last time. And just for retail purposes, we want as much glazing as possible. So we're kind of have these two constraints that we worked as hard as we could to get without making that opening just smaller. So we did center the entry door. There's a single entry door centered on the arch. So as you can see, one side, there's a little more wall return on the other. So that's where we landed with that. And we think it's successful. It's really just in this moment in elevation where you get that snapshot of it's not perfectly centered on the opening, but for all things considered, we feel it works.
Okay.
Let's see. The next was the parking lot entry to be recessed similar to the entry, which we went and did. So the question, I think, had more to do with how deep this opening was. The prior plans, what they showed was glazing. You can see here we furred out substantially, so these openings now look very thick. Before, we didn't have that furring, so the glazing appeared to be flush with the surface of the building, and this one was already recessed deeply, so we recessed this as deep as possible. The next comment was just bringing the plans up to speed, which we have done. The whole set now corresponds with the elevations, would correspond with the perspective. And then planting was the other comment. We previously only had potted plants per the La Cumbre Plaza's existing landscape plan. But we did find an opportunity to actually put 2 vine pockets flanking the decorative grille. Let's look at our perspective. So you can see one of the members commented on perhaps providing vine pockets along the arch and growing up. And I think at the end maybe you said you wouldn't think that was the best spot, and neither did we. This we furred out even further, so we were already sort of well into the pedestrian way, so we wanted to keep that hardscape. So here we just provided vine pockets to grow up trumpet vines, train them up this wall, which happened to be a fairly blank wall, and this is a way to add color to that as well. And I believe that was all the comments. So we made a couple more refinements to the design. Okay. Well, I'll stay here. So we developed this tile cap a little further. Originally we had just a simple cap detail on a flat parapet, and instead we created sort of a mini mansard. So we have actually, there's a good example. We did this type of condition where we actually created a slight slope and have 3 tile deep. We found just from perspective you could appreciate a little more shadow, a little more interest from layering a few tiles. So that's one. And from previously being here, we thickened all of these archways even a little more. I think we landed at just over 2 feet, 2 and change. So we beefed up everything even a little more. Out here as well, we furred out even farther, and this wall as well, to make nice deep openings where we were proposing these windows. And the other landscape you see is all existing. There's a tree just off this corner of the storefront. This one is just off center from our proposed portico. Here we're proposing, we don't have the exact one called out yet, but we're looking for a window grill similar to the Chamber of Commerce building. So we're looking to do this here and here. This one about half the size of this. This is a little decorative vent, kind of an outie, similar to the one on East Beach Bathhouse. I don't know if you're familiar with. In the gable, they have these little kind of vent details that have these scalloped rounds, and it's a little outie rather than an itty, which we kind of liked. It cast shadow and just kind of added a nice detail up above there. Lanterns, we have Bevelot, a French Rodin, per the client's request. We have a Sunbrella awning. This is Eve's corporate colors, this medium to dark charcoal gray. We're going with white stucco, smooth trowel finish, and then the storefront openings are wood systems painted charcoal gray to match. So I believe that's it. Ed, am I missing anything? If not, we're open to comment and question.
Do you have a reflective seating plan?
Yes, we do. So currently inside, you can see where we fattened up the opening. Inside, we left as existing lighting, existing mechanical access and whatnot. So we're going to paint to match all new plaster, but it left the existing ceiling.
So it's just one light?
Yes.
Off center of the
yes.
street? Candlelight? For recess?
Mm-hmm.
This is what right now, stucco? This
yes.
Ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's open it up to questions from the board. Oh, first, sorry, public comment. Anyone in public would like to comment? Seeing no one, close that portion and bring back to staff.
Just one public comment letter in opposition from Ms. Paula Westbury.
Thank you very much. Bring it back to the board for questions. Starting with Chris on the west side.
Quick question. The gray used for the awning, is that used anywhere else? On the front? Or did I miss something?
The gray is the awning material, and then gray to match is the painted window system on both storefronts.
That's all.
Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A comment, you brought it up, I didn't catch it, having to do about the reflected ceiling pan and some kind of light. It seems to be an unresolved missed opportunity. If you can maybe get another lantern to match your other ones and hang it from 2 chains, you can know the power sources from one, or somehow do a little bit more interest, because what you have there is off balance and might not work too well. The second comment was you had 2 cutouts for the bougainvilleas, but you actually could connect them into one large planter and then have some low growies underneath it and have your 2 vines in between to sort of get a little more softness. And so it's a comment there for the landscaping. And the third item, I appreciate the detailing that you're doing, the historical detailing for the grills, the window grills, and then when you come back the next time to just construction drawing wise, you'll have to tell everyone how you build it. And the scallopness of the top, your rendering is really nice. The CAD drawing is a little bit on the short side, so you need to have, I would sense it needs to be a little taller, so that dimension's important to note there. At least I didn't see a detail
we
for it.
We actually do have those details here now that we can look at.
So above the window grill, that right there. So that's what's drawn here?
Let's see. Which one are we looking at? The lower level window grill. So here on 2.
Is it here?
We don't have the full details. Not the full. No, just the section and large section. Right. We don't have full detail. We haven't detailed them, but we do have section which are virtually built in.
So it's
just not dimensioned.
If some other the architects can take a look at 06 on sheet A 3.0 and a little bit of feedback on the height of that canopy for the window grill.
The height of the canopy on
here, just the swoop of that.
Yeah, I was thinking it needs to be a little taller, more verticalness. I was thinking it was going to be 18 inches tall. Well, is it cast stone?
No, this is all plaster detail.
Just the way it's rendered on section. I can't read.
Yeah. And is this supposed to be the Audi or?
No, this is on elevation the decorative window grill. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, this is the little Audi. This is above the portico arch.
Okay.
Let's just go to that image really. So that's that one that you were staring at.
Okay.
So that was the one section, and then.
I guess what we need is really together with these here is we need this in more of a larger view, like these here, because I think that your intent is correct. If you look at the perspective, the intent is correct, but the information on the plans is just not enough to give us the kind of detailing, the softness or that kind of thing. So. If you could get that for us in the larger.
Still, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's it? Okay. Clay, questions?
I don't have any questions.
And or comments?
We're going to do both?
Yeah, let's do both. I think we're moving along pretty quickly here.
My comment, I agree with Paul's comment on doing some sort of lighting in that entry portico. I think it really needs to have a nice, well-appointed chandelier supported, something that's indicative of the architecture you're doing. A minor thing, not a big deal, but these kind of little lighting blocks aren't the same as what you're speccing. Right. Not a big issue for me, but if we can go to the front elevation. Is this the adjacent space, or where's the where is the break?
This is.
I'm having a hard time understanding.
This is
what I'm
the
looking at.
lease line.
Okay.
We have. This is one of those odd conditions which
This
are
is that overhang.
Yeah,
that's
this
continuing.
is an existing overhang that is to remain. But our lease line is several feet over. So what we're proposing is sort of creating a implied lease line here, but going ahead and plastering all the way underneath the canopy to where the storefront really is. It's sort of in hopes of when this canopy is removed, this work is already done, and then a simple parapet at that time would be proposed. When that happens, if it happens, we don't know. So we have to work around that. So for now, we're matching our new stucco to a lease line.
There's an existing photo.
So this will become white here.
Yes.
That will become white.
Yeah, it's a little
but this will be gray. This will be the existing gray stuff that's.
Yeah, so you can see even. It's a tricky condition we're working with. So you can see this is actually our lease line. This is our portico here.
Right, right.
This is our adjacent neighbor. So this canopy comes all the way to our portico, and we're furring out and really letting the canopy butt into our portico. But yeah, underneath, rather than leaving this as is, we're just plastering it to match the rest.
And are you furring it out? Is this face being furred out like the other side?
No. No. Just enough to get a coat of plaster, but let's see.
This is that. This is that thing, right?
Canopy above.
That's the canopy. That
So
everybody
there's our
loves.
lease line right here. So no. There'll be, I think, is there proposed a channel? Will there be a channel between the two? There's going to be a channel between the two storefronts, but that'll be it up to the underside of the canopy.
But this comes right into that flush.
Well, that was another comment Paul had last time. We provided that elevation, this elevation, which we didn't have last time, showing that condition. So what we did.
This is okay. So you've done that.
So this is the canopy in section, and we furred out as far as we thought we could, and then so this canopy will be sliced. It currently returns, but we want to slice it, and there's just a little nub of about 4 inches left over that we'll clean up. We looked at, more often than not, we're asked to return these moldings, but I feel like they've been unsuccessful for the most part. And kind of touring State Street, I felt like the more successful ones were when they really were sliced, unless they were too large. And in this case, it's so small, we just decided to let the molding on the canopy end in a slice.
I'll continue. I'd like some of the other board members to comment on that because I'm just going to comment on it. I think it's kind of unfortunate to have this remain, but I think the alternative of cutting it off and looking at the end of that thing
is worse. Yeah. There's no easy,
I mean, this might be the lesser of two evils, but it's the other part I'm kind of struggling with is the fact that our lease line's here, but this thing comes over. It's part of the old thing, and there's no real. I mean, eventually, we all know that eventually something's going to happen here, but is that going to be in 5 months or 5 years or,
Okay.
So maybe some other people can comment on that. Yeah. My last comment has to do with the front entry, and I'm still kind of struggling when I look at it like this, and I think part of it is, for me, is I just really want to see something centered. Like, you've got this, it's balanced here. You've got this thing centered, but then the door system isn't centered at all. And I don't know if it's, you put a double doors that's centered with maybe an arched top or something that, and then let that be display window or some way of articulating that storefront so that it's really clear. We've got single door with side light, and then larger side light with transoms. And for me, it's just not. I think that there's something else that could happen there. And I'm on the fence with it.
Okay. Thanks, Gary.
Now, the lighting fixtures, they're going to be natural gas, is that right?
No, the one.
That's what you've proposed.
Well, you mean just from that little photo?
Yeah.
No, they're not proposed. Not in plan. They're not. This is the fixture. They come in gas or electric. We're obviously
but
doing
it's
electric.
not natural gas.
No, it's not.
Okay. So I'd have to agree with Clay on this. Your building does look lopsided to me. So, and as far as the return goes, I mean, we're supposed to be talking about individual little buildings, and the lease line is here, and to cut it up to cut the building here, it seems lopsided to me. I would think that this parapet would need to continue on out at this height, and this little section would be part of this building right there. So if I'm looking at it from this elevation, to me it looks a little lopsided. So, and it would help by plastering this and leaving this on top of it. To me, that's not a cohesive project, and it really doesn't. It doesn't blend in with next door, and it doesn't blend in with this one. So, for me, I would like to see the canopy removed and the parapet height to come in as this one, so this looks like its own structure, and that's kind of how I see it. And I agree also with the storefront windows. They still don't look centered to me. It looks to me like you should be able to get a little more, bring it over a little bit. I don't know what that structural wall is, or if that's a problem, or if you can,
It might be, if I might, it might be something there. This is sheer up to this point, so the options are reducing glazing from here to center it, or trying to find something else that kind of draws your eye to a
stronger center.
But that's why we're off center. So that's sheer up to that point.
Okay. Keith?
Trying to be brief. I agree with most of the previous comments. I think this kind of collision here needs to be resolved one way or the other, whether this building continues over or the existing remains, but kind of not both. Perhaps the resolution here is as simple as maybe another mullion, I think, as Clay was kind of suggesting, so you have kind of a similar rhythm. And I think the only other comment is maybe study possibly hipping the back part of your little tower there, just so when you're in the parking lot it doesn't look like it got sliced off. But I think that's it.
Okay. And my comments I'm going to follow up where Keith was, is that I think that back should actually, instead of just hipping the end, I think that it should continue back and close the rectangle, because there are a few conditions where there are buildings across the street from this right now that are higher elevations than these, and they look down on the roof of these buildings, and I think that we have to be cognizant of that people from higher elevations looking down on this see the back of those things. So, and I'm thinking about the one on the corner there with the Fidelity building and the apartments above.
Oh,
looking back.
Oh, I see. Across.
So it may be far away, but you do see the backs of some of these things, and I think that we should be careful about that.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if a tree is in the way or not.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, but I can't tell, But I just know that they're
much higher than that. We'll look at that. Yeah.
So I agree with Clay and Keith on the centering of this. I think that there may be just a different solution to the way you divide things up. Maybe it's a door here and a door here and a side light here, like he was suggesting. But I think that just the way you divide it up can help. Sure. So this particular item here, it's a difficult one. I think that if you want to get the feeling that Yves Delorme is actually bigger than it ending here, then I think you have to take this portion and go out here. But if you're happy to say that Yves Delorme is this, then I think when you refinish this, this needs to go back to that color and make that building just end in there. I think I can live with this little piece here because I know that that's not the final, that at some point that's going to change.
Right.
So I'm looking at the option for you, and I think that I would rather just see that come back and cut cleanly instead of half and half.
Right.
But let's see, I agree with the others, you have to bring the details for this, large scale details, so at least bigger in the front so we could actually see the curves and everything form. That's about it for me. Okay, so any other comments? Can we move on to a motion or? Yeah, looks like it. Okay, we will entertain a motion. Thank you.
So we'll do indefinite continuous back to full board with the following comments. Nobody really commented on the color palette, so I'll just go ahead and say that the color palette is approved as submitted. Study the entry storefront door for a more centered and complementary resolution. Come back with details for display cage. Or
architectural detailing.
Architectural detailing.
Say a window grill.
Of the yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Right.
The window grill and the faux window details. Study options for dealing with adjacent space to the left, east, and how to resolve the condition with the existing parapet. Was there some landscaping?
The one landscape comment was the board appreciates the inclusion of the vine pockets, but would encourage a continuous planter along the wall where the vine pockets are located.
Come back with a light fixture for the ceiling space of the new portico, and also look at hipping the roof parapet, the mansard roof parapet over the portico at the back side of the space. Anything else?
Are you wanting them to just hip it or return it and hip it?
Is it return? You want it returned back? You thinking?
I thought it should. I thought it
or
should.
just finish it off.
Chair, I would say just study the termination of the parapet, the tile roof behind, just so that it doesn't appear to be end abruptly.
Right. Okay. That's fine.
You okay with that?
Oh, that comment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it my face? No. We're gingerly touching the existing roof diaphragm, so we're not returning on purpose. And we've modeled it and we've studied it pretty hard, and we haven't found too many views where you see it. I mean, perhaps we didn't go across the street, but
There's another building, 3-story building right next door.
Okay.
but we'll look at that.
Okay, look at it carefully. Okay, so we do have a second? Second, right. Keith? And the discussion, any other items? No? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And with that, I'd like to close the ABR for today, April 6, 2009. Thank you very much, and good evening. All right.